Welcome back to the Good Hustle Podcast, everybody. We are joined today by a really awesome guest. So his name is Jeff Stellwagon, and Jeff and I go way back, you could say. Jeff and I go way back to our SHIP University days. So we went to SHIP together, go Red Raiders or whatever they are now. I don't remember if they're still Red Raiders or not. But we were in the same business classes and stuff, and we moderately enjoyed SHIP University together and business class together and stuff. And I think we did our final project together, right?
Yeah, so we had a professor like Hargrave.
Yes, Hargrave's on. I think Hargrave was the guy.
And we had a group project, and the thing was, I remember that Zach and I weren't going to be together.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, it turned out that two girls left the class that were supposed to be in my group, and when they left, then everybody in the group was going to be together. So then everybody that was left in the class was going to be together. Yeah. And so it was a couple of my friends and then like Xavier. Anyway. Yeah. So then we had this project to do, and it turned out great. And he said like, oh, this project's going to change your life. You're going to meet people, meet connections. And you know, you're always like blah, 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 blah. But like it turned out I met a couple of great guys from that project. So.
And now you're on the Good Hustle. So like,
and now I'm here.
Does it get better?
Yeah. So these days, just so you guys know, Jeff is actually a 26-year-old professional poker player. That's what he does these days, which is, I think, really, really cool. He has played in 3 World Series of Pokers already and a World Poker Tour. So that is what Jeff is doing these days, which I think is
which is amazing. And by the way, John Henry, Zach Williamson.
Yep.
We are here with Jeff Stellwagon, which is a really cool last name, by the way.
The Swag Wagon is what
Swag.
His
I love
name
it.
is.
Well, he already asked for swag, so we got to hook him up. So.
There you go.
So I want to start by just kind of asking a basic question, because a lot of people in the audience aren't going to understand, like, what is the definition of a professional poker player?
Yeah, sure. So a professional poker player is somebody that, by definition, plays poker full time. Now, some people are going to argue that, you know, you need to be playing against like a certain caliber of player, but by definition, you are just playing poker as your main source of income. And then that comes in any variant of poker, but the most common one is no limit hold'em.
Yeah, is that Texas Hold'em?
Yeah, Texas Hold'em. Yep.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Which is like one of the only ones that I know how to play. So
yeah, I mean, everybody knows how to play it pretty much, which is the best part for poker pros. So
yeah, especially for you, if you want to go hang out with friends, like let's play some Texas Hold'em. Like okay,
right.
about
you basically rob the point blank.
I don't get invited.
Well, so let's talk about let's go back to the beginning. So where did you grow up? Were you from this area originally?
Yeah, so I'm from Mooresville, Pennsylvania, which is in Berks County. So about an hour away from where you guys are here in Central PA. I went to Schuylkill Valley High School, which is one of the smaller schools in the county. We graduated like 150 people. So yeah, that's like where I'm from.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what kind of kid were you back in the day?
Oh man, I was
mischievous, I'm guessing.
Honestly, the opposite. I was pretty much like the most like straight edge, like goody two shoes kid. Like I didn't drink until I was 18. Like until I basically got to college, I didn't like drink a sip of alcohol. Wow. And then I kind of had like, you know, a reawakening a little bit.
At SHIP.
At SHIP. But yeah, like
that place will do that to a lot of people.
Yeah. I mean, what is there to do there other than, you know, drink? I mean, there's other things.
Well, you have the sheets. You can go to the sheets.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The sheets at like 2 a.m. was the move back in the day. But no, I mean, I was always the class clown. But it was ironic because I was such a good kid that like I would randomly like act out for attention, and that ended up getting me like 2 detentions and in school suspension. But
yeah,
so I ran into those same issues, and I wasn't bad till freshman year. But like one of the things that I'm thinking about, like you're World Series of Poker player, right? Yeah. So were you making bets in hallways in middle school?
I mean, I was always, like I was the easiest guy to get like $5 or $10 off of, because nobody would be like that willing to make bets, and they'd be like, oh, I bet you I can, and I'm like, and you know, I would just always take them up on it, even though like it was probably like, you know, in poker we would say low EV. Like, I only had like a 30% chance to win or something. I was still taking him. So
yeah, so it was basically like it was just for the thrill. Like, I'll lose $5 just so I can have the thrill of doing this.
Yeah, I was also the guy to give like somebody like $10 to like eat a whole slice of pizza in like 2 bites, or maybe that was me that would do that. But
listen, I think I could scrounge up $10 right now.
Oh, absolutely. Go get some pizza right now. Yeah. So Jeff, what kind of relationship back in the day, like you said, you were goody two shoes and stuff for the most part. What kind of relationship did you have to your family at the time growing up?
Yeah. So I mean, I was raised in the same home my whole life, so we didn't move around. My parents' biggest influence on me possible. My brother's 11 months apart from me. And I also have an older sister as well, 4 years older. But I mean, having my brother 11 months apart, we did literally almost everything together. And we absolutely despised each other and loved each other at the same time. Like growing up, always,
I know that feeling.
always fighting with each other. Like, but it was really good to have somebody that close too. And yeah, I mean, growing up too, like, my dad was just the most wise guy ever. Had always just had great advice for me, no matter what. Unfortunately, he passed away a few years ago. But
sorry to hear that.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's
So in preparation, I want to be gentle with this question. In preparation for the interview, I was looking through your Facebook feed and everything, and I saw that your mom has been dealing with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. And I saw that your family actually got to run, and you ran a 5K with your mom.
Yeah.
I guess to raise money for pancreatic cancer. Is that right?
Yeah. So it kind of happened sporadically. Like, she had gotten an email like 2 weeks before the race, which I think that they had sent her like one probably like a year ahead of time too, but she didn't see it. And it was like 2 weeks before, and I'm sitting at the kitchen table with her, and she's just like, "Oh my God, they're doing a race for zebras," which is what they call people with neuroendocrine cancer, because it's so rare, and a zebra has, every zebra has different stripes essentially.
Right.
And so for neuroendocrine cancer, each case is different. And it's a slower growing type of cancer generally, but each case is so different. So anyway, zebra is kind of like their mascot, for lack of a better term.
Okay.
And so when she saw that, she is in great or bad shape, and I'm like, oh, we should do it. Like, I'd actually already like just randomly been training for a 5K to run my first one the week before. Wow. Yeah, so it was super random. Like, me and my personal trainer, he had decided the one day, he's like, "You want to do a 5K?" And I was like, "Well, we've been doing this for like a year." I was like, "Sure, I'll do a 5K." Yeah. So it was random that I was like already trained for. I'm like, "Oh no, we're doing
no
this."
such thing as coincidence, by the way. No such thing.
Yeah. I agree. And so then I like immediately was like hitting up my family, hit up a couple of friends in the area. We ended up having like 12 family members there, and my mom raised like the second most for the teams there, which was incredible. That's so cool. On only 2 weeks of notice, and
that's amazing.
And it was honestly just the most for me, just to like. So I run across. My brother beats me, which was hit to the ego, because I've been training for a 5K, and he beat me in the 5K. Oh, 2 of my cousins beat me as well. But
do you remember what you ran?
I think 24.
That's a good 5K.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, they're in better shape than I am though. But yeah, but I just remember seeing her cross the finish line, and that was like, just like for me, I mean, it, as you say all the time, John, it's as good as it gets, because it is. It really is.
And it's impactful.
Yeah.
It's going to leave an imprint on you forever.
Yeah. Just to see her like go through the race, and she was so tired, it was really cool moment, and something that we're going to do every year. So
that's awesome, man.
And don't you think, like, when I see things, like, I remember, it has nothing to do with me. I was nominated for Harrisburg Man of the Year. This is just a fundraising thing for the LLS. There was a kid, Nick Fulton, who is amazing. He's now graduating college baseball player, everything you can think of. I met him when he was 11. He shows up to an event that I was holding to raise money at like 8 o'clock at night after he went through chemo that day. Like, this kid goes there. So, like, your mom crossing the finish line. Like, when I think of, like, issues that I'm having in this world, and I think of things like Nick, I'll think, what's your mom's name?
Carol.
When I think of Carol, like, those are the thoughts that make it so, like, man, I shouldn't be complaining.
It's the inspiration I need to keep pushing through when, like, you know, you lose a big hand in poker and, like, it feels like the end of the world, but really it's like, man, you know, it gives me that extra resiliency and, like, push that I need, honestly.
Yeah. So sorry,
go ahead. No.
Okay. So I remember when I met you in college, I think one of the most interesting things about you was like that no one else was doing, like that I could meet at SHIP, right? You were running some kind of like ridiculous mobile online game league of some kind. Can you remind me what that was all about?
You were telling me about
that. Because this is like a wild story.
It was my college pet project. I remember. So I was always into like Clash of Clans, Clash Royale, and Brawl Stars, which are like Supercell games.
Yes.
And I'd always like owned like a clan in that because it was just like, I don't know, you'd just rally up guys and you'd be like, hey, like, you know, you're just like promoting good vibes and like more people will join your clan and like better guys and whatever. And you're just like trying to build something up. And for me, that's always cool. And, you know, I was going to go into management. I was like, what could be a better like leadership project than to like create my own organization? I knew like nothing about Discord, but I knew that was like where I had to build it up through. And we ended up getting up to like 3,500 members in our Discord.
Wow.
Was this an app?
Yeah. So so Brawl Stars, you could have 100 people in your clan. So we ended up having 30, I think it ended up getting to like 50 clans from everywhere around the world, Spain, India. We had all branches from every country.
Yeah. So this is how I knew he was like an actual hustler.
So he's making the Good Hustle app? Is that what's going on?
That's what
okay. Just making sure that's where we're going.
Can you briefly, because I'm sure a lot of people are confused, can you briefly explain what it means to own a clan?
Yeah, so I mean, I was just the leader of it, and you know, I'd had a Clash Royale clan, and when Brawl Stars came out, I was like, oh, we're pouncing on the opportunity. It's another Supercell game. People are going to love it. I was like, I got like 4 guys to start up a clan. So we started out with 4 clans to start. So like 400 people to basically start. I had like my best leaders leading it because I was like, here's my vision. Like, I want to be the top. I want to be like, there's like Tribe and Nova were like the 2 tops. I was like, we're going to be just like them. I was like, that's what we're going to do. So I got, you know, my 3 best leaders to lead also, and then we had a Discord that unified us so that we could all, you know, talk together, and then we would move up the best people to my clan, which was like kind of controversial sometimes because I was like stealing their best guys, but I would try to send them back like some other good guys. But yeah, so it just was like this whole process, and then eventually by the end of it, you know, we had all different countries, and then we were running leagues, and but that all ended after I graduated college. I got a real job, 50 hours a week, and ran
so
out
a
of
reminder,
time.
this is all stuff happening while me and Jeff are like goofing around at SHIP University.
Yeah,
this is
I'm like answering like angry messages and like
from India.
dealing. Yeah, like
which I think is funny because it's like I think like, you know, I'm a league manager in fantasy football. That is like that is like this big compared to the comparison of that. Like that is huge because I have no idea. And the funny thing is like I don't even know what he's talking about. You know, like, to me this is like beyond me. Like because obviously, and they said they were what was the word you said? We were back to our SHIP days, mind you. When they say this is like 6 years ago for them.
Yeah.
This would be like 22 years ago for me. So I don't even like when they talk about that. It's so annoying. But okay, so let's kind of go back to like growing up. You always liked games.
Yeah.
Did you always like poker games, or like how did you get involved with like literally like cards? Like when did this start? Because you said you had a 50-hour-a-week job out of college. What was it? And then how did you get to where you are today?
So I mean, game wise, like I was always into competitive sports growing up, but I was never like super athletic. But I loved like, you know, like I was like probably the most into like positioning and like theory of like soccer, like basketball, whatever. But I could never like basically emulate that on the court or on the field, or like put in like the physical work, but I was always willing to put in the mental work, if that makes.
Which can be a really great coach, by the way.
Yeah. And I was, you know, always like one of the coach's favorites. I'm not going to say the favorite because like maybe some of my friends are watching, but like I was like one of the favorites, but like I barely played. So that was me. But anyway, then that translates really well to poker. And so when I was like 10 years old, there's a site called Pogo. They had, you know, all kinds of different games, you know, anything that you could think of. and they had poker on there, and it was free to play and whatever. And so I was playing poker on there, built up like a bunch of fake money, and I was like, oh, this is great. Like I'm like, I can now spend it in the shop and whatever. And then Zynga Poker came out. I was playing that on Facebook against friends, cleaning up. Occasionally I would go broke on there. And then my mom and dad had gotten us a GameCube, and it just so happened that the GameCube only came with 2 games. It came with Zelda and World Series of Poker.
That's funny.
And that was like, because like, you know, like on eBay back in the day, like people would like sell like systems. It would be like, oh, like we have games too. Like, and it came with just those 2 games.
That's hilarious.
It turns out I hate Zelda. Like I don't like Zelda at all. And like eventually I got other games too. Like I ended up with like 60 games because, you know, I was a little spoiled. But World Series of Poker game, I was like playing like the $10,000 fake money World Series of Poker every day. And the thing was, you could only play it like, I don't know, it was like once a week or something on the game. But I would like, as soon as I would bust out of the main event, I would like, you know, force the GameCube to quit. Like you could like pull the plug or whatever, like turn it off really quick as soon as I knew I was going to like be out, so I could replay it again that day. And so that was like kind of like where the love came. And then watching Twitch growing up, and then and then I was watching like pirated World Series of Poker clips on YouTube all the time because like I wouldn't catch it on ESPN. So yeah, it just kind of grew from there.
So like you went to college and you studied business, right?
Yeah.
So what was that first job that you did have?
So first job was with Red Robin. I was
Yum.
Yeah. I was actually like gonna. I was following in my dad's footsteps in the food industry. That was like because I saw him be really successful in upper management in the food industry, and I was like always talking to him growing up about it and whatever. So it kind of seemed natural. And then I get into the business, I'm like, man, this is hard work.
It's so hard. I worked really in food. My sister's a GM at an Elks Club. Like, people don't understand how hard it is to be in that food industry and how taxing it is on you mentally and physically because you're there 10, 11, 12 o'clock Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And it's like you're always working.
Yeah.
Weekends are Mondays and Tuesdays.
Yeah.
Like, it's a completely different animal.
Yeah.
So when you got out of that, how long were you in? I mean, did you know, quick fact, at Red Robin, they don't keep the
seasoning. They got that was the
they didn't get rid of it. They don't put it on the table anymore.
Yeah, they have
people
steal
it.
They have the packets now.
Yeah, because everybody was.
It was also a part casualty of the pandemic too.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. So like with the pandemic, we didn't know when we were going to come back, so we removed like the salt, the pepper, the seasoning. Wow. Actually, like because they were going to like expire, I guess. So
that makes sense.
So, and like the ketchup bottles too. So like I had like a bunch of like ketchup, salt, pepper, Red Robin seasoning bottles at my house because they gave it to us. So
wow.
Well, I skipped ahead on questions.
Oh no, you're good. So at what point after? So you're at Red Robin, you're working really hard. The pandemic's going on, all this crazy stuff, right? At what point do you start thinking, hey, like, what about poker?
So I mean, like Zach with real estate, the pandemic was blessing in disguise for me. So
wow.
Basically, my dad had passed away September 2020, and then with Red Robin, I was just like putting in my time and stuff. But I felt a little bit less passionate after he passed away because I would like go home and I would just like talk to him about like leadership, how to everything, like bouncing ideas off of him about the business, every single thing, and like that kind of faded a little bit. And then with the pandemic, my hours were cut down to between 10 to 20 hours a week. And I was a salaried manager, and they also put me at an hourly rate. And this happened at a lot of different restaurants throughout the pandemic.
So they're paying you for 10 hours a week at this point.
Yeah. And so I was I was making basically nothing. And it was like $10 or $12 an hour. And so I was like, man. But anyway, I played poker on the side. Also a secret blessing was online poker got legalized in Pennsylvania at the end of 2019. And so I was playing a little bit.
Timing.
Yeah. So you just never know. And so I was just like playing a little bit on the side. And through the pandemic, I was getting better and better. And I was also like, poker was like an escape for me, like with my dad passing away. So I was just like channeling, I guess, some energy into that. And then that helped me get better and better. And then it just got to the point where like they were bringing me back for more and more hours, but I was almost like making the same playing poker as I was working. And I was like kind of in limbo for a promotion. I'm just like going back and forth with myself. I'm like, man, do I want to, which way do you go? And it's so hard to know. And like, I still wasn't making like good money playing poker, really. Right. But I knew that my potential could be very high. Like I ended up taking the jump way sooner than almost anybody ever has. Like I was only up like $13,000 total playing. But I'd gotten a coach and was talking to him about it. And like, I knew guys in PA that were making like $300,000 a year and they were new professionals. Not like because you can only play against people in PA. And so I was like, man, like I'm like, if they can do it, I can probably do it if I put in the work.
Amen.
And so I got the coach, put in the work. My whole first year was just like, I've seen it referred to as like the lonely phase, where like my whole first year, I was just so focused on getting as good as possible at poker, so that there was, little chance that I would have to, go back. And so that's just how it started. I just decided, you know what, I'm going to do it.
And I think that's your hustle, like right there. Like you literally took the time, a year of your life, to focus on something that was going to be really important to you, which is huge, because not everybody's willing to take risks like that.
Absolutely. Like
I've taken risks on other things, other business things in my life. And like I did this Whitetails Down thing, this hunting clothing line for a long time, but I've kind of put it to bed because, it didn't make money. It didn't do what I wanted it to do. So I don't consider it a failure because I learned from it. It opened up a door for other things. And I met so many amazing people through it, because when I got sober, which we can talk about addiction too, because I think it's important. When I got sober, like I got into hunting. So like I know for me, like taking risks, like I get sober, I don't know what I'm doing in this world. I don't even know who I am as an adult, but I took a risk. And like, I'm like, I need to do some other things in my life. Like I was already selling real estate, but I wasn't good at it yet, because obviously I was fighting through addiction the first couple of years. But a lot of people wouldn't want to live like us three, because we do like to take risks. And you can talk to like Michael Jordan or whatever and listen to some of these quotes. Like, if you're not failing, you're not trying.
Yeah.
Like if you're not failing, you're not growing. And with those failures that I've had, that Zach's had, we've had failures.
Big ones. Yep.
So like for you, has risk always been a thing you've liked, or has it been something like that you've fought harder with after like your dad passed? Like is there been more like meaning to like, I want to do more things than what I thought I was going to do?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, that was just, when you go through a major life event like that you don't see coming. Like he had got diagnosed with cancer and passed away 11 months after. So it's like, it's not immediate, but it's not like there's a lot of time to process what happened. It really shifted my perspective. Debatably for the better, debatably for the worse, but it was just like, man, like I see him work for his whole life since he was 14 until 59. I see him work his whole life saving up for retirement, and then and at the end of the day, barely got to enjoy the fruits of his labor, essentially, like, and it's like didn't get to do the things in retirement. And I was just like, man, life's too short to just not go for it and not do the things that you want to do. And so I was just like, you know what? Here's what I'm going to do.
And by the way, if you're enjoying this episode of the Good Hustle Podcast, please go ahead, like the video, subscribe. And also, if you need any real estate help here in Central Pennsylvania, John and I would love to help you.
I'm gonna take the risk. I told my mom, I'm like, listen, you have full access to my bank account. I was like, if things go south, I will go back to what I was doing at Red Robin. Nice. It's not a job that I can, that I
such
could go
a young age. Like,
it really shifts your perspective when from addiction, everybody goes through life events that really do shift your perspective. But I just knew it was something that I could go back to was Red Robin if I needed to. And if it didn't work out and I fall on my face, then, so be it. It happens.
Right. Yeah, because without that, you're not moving forward.
Yeah. Right. And you live like the thing I actually just literally, the stuff you were just saying, I was telling my youth group last night about being bold and living the best life. Like, God gives you one life, right?
Yeah.
So like, why would you play it safe and just kind of hide in the corner and like collect a paycheck or whatever it is when you like, God gives you one chance on this earth, man.
Yeah.
That is such a powerful thing to realize. And I think it does take a big life event where, you go through a season of trial where you're like, what am I really doing on this earth right now? Right.
Yeah. It seems like to me, sometimes it feels egotistical for me to think like, okay, like my dad passing away was like the thing that drove this difference. And like God was testing me by that. But it's like, there's just this like huge different plan, you know, that like maybe it's not like centered around me, but if I think about it from my perspective, that life event being at that time really reshifts my whole life. And it's like it's just this weird thing that I'm juggling. I don't know if that...
Well, we just talked to our last guest about that. We talked to her about doors that are opening up and you walking through them. Like a lot of people, a door will open up and they won't go towards it because they don't want to take the risk. And the fact that, and I don't think it's egotistical at all what you're saying. I think it's self-awareness, and that's a much different thing than having an ego. And I think the fact that you went through that door is huge because Zach, speaking of that, went full-time in real estate
the exact
months
same
ago.
time.
Yeah. Him and I were at the same time. Like I was seeing his like real estate videos and I was like grinding away at, poker training videos. Like, it was just...
Yeah, because your risk, I mean, honestly, you had an opportunity to go back to a full-time job.
Yeah, I did.
Months ago. Yep. And we're talking 3-4 months ago?
Yeah, I had to face another reality not that long ago.
And then you're facing another one right now as a youth pastor.
Yeah.
Where it's like, he's a new dad.
Yep.
Yeah.
His wife's staying home.
Yep.
What's he going to do next? Is he going to focus on his career? Is he going to focus on this? God opened up a door for him. He made a great decision, I think. Actually, let me rephrase that. He made a great decision that I know. And he's taking a big risk, but it's paying off for him too, just like it is for you.
Right. So getting back to Jeff now, because it's not the Zach podcast, right? But getting back to Jeff.
I mean, your face is on the thumbnail.
I am on the thumbnail.
Yeah, put me on some thumbnails, bro.
John can be on the thumbnail.
I'll put John on the thumbnail for this one, just because you asked. So I also saw that you did a really cool live stream recently. I was going through your X, which used to be Twitter, right?
Yeah.
And I saw you were going through. I was going through your Twitter and everything, and you did a cool live stream as a commentator. For Bet MGM.
Yeah.
Which that's pretty wild because I was literally in Vegas not that long ago seeing the MGM, and I was like, wow, that place is so cool. And there's Jeff doing a live stream for Bet MGM,
That's awesome.
which is so sick,
so cool.
And it was the finals of something called the Almighty Million, right?
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that whole experience?
Okay, so another thing with like God opening up doors, like I've done commentating before for Brawl Stars though, which was like my opportunity created for myself because I created the league and I put myself as the commentator, which was just me making my own way, not really the other way around.
Right.
But for this, I was actually that day I played in an event, I busted out of the event. Two of my friends, Andrew Porter, who's a semi-professional but one of the best in Pennsylvania for sure. And Casey Hatmaker, who's actually like a Shippensburg graduate, went to Ship the same time. He's a super crusher at poker too. Nice. Both of them were going deep, which is what you call it in this almighty million. It was like 2,200 players, and with 14 people left, they're still in. And they thought that out
of 2,200,
it was a $500 buy-in and almost $300,000 for first place. And both of them are still in. So I'm like, you know what? I'm like hopping on the rail is what we call it in poker, which is I'm going to watch them. I'm going to, and like I'm just talking to like Casey's dad and like he's asking me like, how's he doing? Like, what's his chip stack at compared to whatever? Like, and then we were just, talking about him and whatever. And then Jeremy Geist is poker.org poker news reporter. He does both sites, just depends. And he was going to be commentating the final table, but tomorrow. The day after what the day was, that's when they thought that the final table was going to hit. And he was going to be doing it with somebody else. And then they're watching it and they're like, man, this is happening way quicker than we anticipated. The final table is going to be today. And the guy that was going to commentate it with him couldn't do it that day. And I'm just sitting there and there's Luke, who's the director of operations for poker for BetMGM. And Dave are also there, and they like kind of know me from like playing, and we're all four of us are talking, and they're just like, Jeff, why don't you do it? And like also a guy named Will through BetMGM, they're like, you can do it. Like you play poker full time, you seem like you know what you're talking about, you seem like you're going to be professional. You should just do it. And I was like, really? And then they're like, you want to do it? And it was one of those things where like you don't want to seem like too eager, but I was like, yeah, I'll do it. Like I just snapped. I like snapped did it, and I was like, let's do it. And so then like Casey ended up making the final table, and he was going to be on the stream. I was like, hey man, like I'm not going to be in the room watching you because I'm going to be like commentating. He's like, what? Like that's crazy. So yeah, that's how it happened.
That's so crazy.
That is an amazing experience.
Yeah.
Once again, it's
and I hope to do it more in the future if anybody's listening.
Yeah, exactly. We'll get listeners. So I do have a funny question though. So
Yeah.
there's 2 prominent poker songs you can
That we
say,
know of.
that we know of. Lady Gaga, Poker Face, and then obviously Kenny Rogers, The Gambler. Now, my question is, and there's really only one right answer, which is the best poker song?
Oh, it's 100% The Gambler.
Thank
you.
I have
Greatest country song of all time, in my opinion.
Oh, it's so good. I have a funny story about
Tell it. Let's
about
do it.
The Gambler.
Yeah.
So we were in Ireland. Me, my mom, my uncle Mark, his wife, and then my cousin Tom. And we're in Ireland, and we're at this pub, and like just this small, tiny pub in Ireland. And all of a sudden, like we're just there talking to the locals, and like I'm telling, they ask me like what I do. I'm like, oh, I'm a professional poker player. They're like, oh, that's so cool. We have a poker game that we run. Like you should come play. Like whatever. And I'm like, oh yeah, like I'll try, but like we're sightseeing and whatever. You're only in Ireland once, most likely. Like I'm not gonna play poker while I'm in Ireland. And so, but anyway, then all of a sudden into this pub, and we're like 5 Guinness deep. All of a sudden in this pub, you just start hearing like whispering, and they come. One of the locals comes over, and he's like, "This guy, Gavin O'Donovan, or Gary O'Donovan, I think his name is. He just came in with. He's a silver medal rowing Olympian, and he just came in with 2 gold medal Olympians from New Zealand that had like combined like." Females that have like combined like 5 medals, and like 18 other people come in. This pub has like a total of 18 seats. Like they're already filled, and so like they have like this like posse with them, and so then the local guy just goes to them. He's like, oh yeah, like this is Jeff Stellwagon. He's a professional poker player. I'm like, well, I'm not. I don't even hold a candle to 3 Olympians.
Right.
Like, but they're like talking to me like it's so cool, whatever. So anyway, long story short. They start singing all these like Irish tunes, and then they come up and they're like, Americans, you guys sing a tune. And so my mom's boyfriend or fiance Tom, he's like, all right, I'll do Johnny Cash Ring of Fire.
Yeah,
and he does it, and they go absolutely insane for Ring of Fire. Then a couple other people do songs, and then they're like, okay, poker player, you do The Gambler. And I'm like, and everybody's doing them off the dome. And I'm like, man, I like this song. I don't know if I could do it off the dome. So I'm like trying to do it. And man, I botched it so bad. I needed other people to like jump in. I'm like, I should have like had the lyrics in front of me. I have an iPhone. I shouldn't have tried to do it off the top of my head, but I did so bad. But it was still like I was so embarrassed, but it was an insane experience.
Experience you won't forget.
Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome.
So you have, I love this question. Do you have a poker face?
Oh, of course.
So can we see it?
Here, I'll.
Okay.
So it's
So
like
now you have to
a
judge.
little dead inside. Little like, I'm not happy to be here.
So you have to judge our poker faces.
right,
Now
judge.
listen,
Okay.
hold on. Now I have this eye's blind, so it looks a little west.
Okay.
Is what I call it. So I think I have a good poker
So
face. 'cause
that might help.
That's what I think.
Okay,
Like,
but we're
okay.
gonna see.
Okay.
Yeah, it's actually really good.
It's actually a good one.
I like if I was like Dave Portnoy doing like a pizza review, and you need to hold your poker face through the review. I would go with like a 9.1.
Oh snap!
Yeah. No,
I'm not going to get a 9.1. Face is too expressive, all right?
Good.
All right, I'm going to try. All right.
That's terrible.
yeah. You look this.
angry.
Yeah,
I think I was like a mix
you look
of like,
like
I was a mix of like,
It looks like he has a 2 and a
You look
4.
like, yeah, he doesn't. He looks like he doesn't like his hand, but he has to play.
I was
Yeah,
like,
he's
I
like,
was
I
like
can't
a mix
believe
of like
this is what I got.
constipated and like someone just stole my lunch money.
Oh man! All right, go ahead.
4.1.
Yeah, so that, I got a 4 at least?
Yeah.
All right, I'll take a 4. I'll take a
Yeah,
4.
I've seen worse.
So, can you tell us? I mentioned before you played in the World Series of Poker, right?
Yeah.
Can you tell us about your experience playing in your first World Series of Poker, man? Were you nervous?
Oh my God. So I'd played a few like live events locally and stuff, and then me and 5 other friends from PA online, we decided to get an Airbnb together and go out to the World Series. First event that I play in is Colossus. It's a $400 buy-in. And traditionally it was the COVID year, so it had less people, but traditionally it had been 20,000 to like 30,000 people in the field. There were 9,300 this time though, because it was the COVID year and you had to wear a mask and not everybody was cool with that. So I ended up getting 10th place in the very first World Series event that I played. Wow. And I just felt so ready for the moment. Like I was meditating on my breaks, which is like something I need to like bring back. Like I just wanted it so bad. I wanted to prove it was like 2 months after I went full time, and I wanted to prove that like I was able to compete with the best. And like looking back on it, it's like, man, I was so close, but yet like I was not ready for the moment. It's like it just makes you even hungrier to be back better than ever.
Are you sweating like I can't imagine, like you got to be sweating every single card that hits the table. Are you like really intensely staring at that stuff?
Yeah, like especially like it's almost like as time goes on you get more jaded, but like then I was like so they say like wet behind the ears or whatever the expression is. Like I was like I felt literally everything, which is like something that is like one of the things that like you can't really control, that like I wish I could have back. And like just that like, man, like I know like here like I should be going all in, but like I'm looking at the guy to my left and like he looks really ready to play his hand, and like, you know, maybe I should take this hand off and fold this, or like, but once every, like if you're all in and it's like, man, I know I'm ahead, I have ace queen, the guy's ace jack, like I have a 3% chance to win the hand. It's like, you know, no jack, like and then you hold your yes, and then it's like, all right, that buys me life.
But
like,
you have to like not do this.
No, and like especially if you're playing against like recreationals and stuff, you don't want to rub it in. Like you like, it's like I'll win a big hand and it looks like I'm not excited when like deep down I'm like,
so fired up.
Like, but it's like I don't want to rub it in either and be like a sore winner or whatever. So like I've learned to like take that back.
Be humble.
Yeah.
So what's the most you won in a poker tournament so far?
So it was the year after that I went back to the World Series, and I actually didn't do that well at the World Series itself, but the Venetian and the Wynn are the two that have like the most like side events, because you know there's so many casinos out there. Everybody wants to.
Or people are already there playing.
Yeah,
might as well have side.
They
events.
had like 200. I think it was 250,000 unique players at the World Series throughout the 6 weeks, and so all the casinos are trying to gobble up some of that traffic. So Venetian had like what's called the side event out there. It was $1,100 buy and $1 million guaranteed prize pool. I ended up getting 5th place in that for $64,000 again. Yeah.
They wrote you a check that day?
Yeah.
They wrote you a $64,000?
They wrote me the check, and the funny part was I went to Chick-fil-A with my friends after, and I actually like scanned the check in Chick-fil-A on Wells Fargo.
What were you eating? Do you remember?
He probably got dollar menus.
Number two.
Probably chicken nuggets.
So wait, hold on. I have to ask you.
Okay.
And it's okay if you don't want to talk about this, but $64,000 in one check. That's the most you've made in one check?
Yeah.
Okay. Were you making $64K at Red Robin?
No, I was like 46,000.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah. So just in one day, yeah.
That's so crazy.
So I kind of want to get into, like, we had kind of talked about this before you came on the show today. Like, we were all sitting here, like, the nitty gritty. It's the word gambling. So it's gambling. So once again, people know I'm sober. I have addictive personality. You know, how do you deal with that? Because I know it's something that has to cross your mind. And I know you play with people that definitely have struggles.
Yeah.
And, like, tell me more about that. Like, how is that in your world right now?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's everybody that plays poker. Well, not everybody, but most people have some sort of struggle. And you know, the sites, the legalized, the reason why, and this is my pitch, the reason why sites need legalized poker as opposed to black markets is they legitimately care and take care of the people. Like, there was a guy that posted on Twitter that he's addicted to tournaments. They immediately banned him on PokerStars.
Like, PokerStars saw that on Twitter and banned him.
Yeah, he said, I'm addicted to tournaments. They banned him. And it could have been a joke. It doesn't matter. Like, you can't just be like throwing that around. And you can set responsible limits through regulated, legalized sites. And you know, they're constantly posting the 1-800-GAMBLER number and everything. So they're really trying to, they do the absolute best possible thing that you can do for people to try to help them if they end up having a problem. And, because there's guys like me that are, pretty sharp, and like over time, if you play too high buy-ins, over the short term you can win, but over the long term, you're probably eventually, you could play with money that you shouldn't. So
yeah, right. That's a good answer. And I mean, Miller Lite doesn't say that. They don't say, they don't talk about addiction.
Yeah.
Not that I'm throwing them under the bus or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say for all the sins of the Sin City, Las Vegas and stuff, I remember going down there. You could not go anywhere without saying, if you have a gambling problem, please call this number.
Yeah.
Please talk to these people. Like, it's everywhere in Las Vegas.
Yeah, that's not posted for other addictive behaviors typically in the United States.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
And I think it probably should be.
Good.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there are probably some people listening to this right now that are thinking things like, you can't really be a professional in something like poker. Like, you're not a dentist, you're not a physical therapist. Like, come on, man. Like, you're just playing poker, right? And this is just a fast track to, like you said, losing all your money. Like, some people lose, I'm sure it goes all down the tubes, and then that's a spiral in itself, right?
Yeah.
So, it's not a real career. So what's your take on that? What's your opinion to people who have things like that to say? Because I'm sure some people are thinking that.
Man, a lot, because like I get that it's so hard to fathom, like, for a lot of people, especially if like you're not open-minded. But I think, like, at the end of the day, like, the analogy that I like with poker that I've put a lot of thought into is like, so okay, the game Fortnite, like, right now, if they ran a tournament and they said, it's a $500 buy-in, let's say, and we're gonna, whatever, let's get the best competition into Fortnite to play.
Which they do these, by the way. They have Fortnite tournaments.
Yeah, but you can't, like, buy in. But if you could, how many people would play? It's probably not a lot, because it's a complete skill game. Yeah. Like you need a lot of skill to win. So like, there's not even people that play for fun and whatever that think that they could win the tournament. Now, if they said going into that Fortnite tournament, they're like, hey, listen, we're going to give some, let's say 10 random people, we're going to give them 1,000 health. And some people are going to get 50, and some people are going to get the regular 200. More people will be inclined to play, because what if I get 1,000 and I play this Fortnite tournament, and then I could win the tournament with 1,000 health. Right. You could also still lose with 1,000 health, but you very well could win. And that's really how the skill and luck in poker kind of, how that is kind of a dichotomy, because sometimes I can have 1,000 health in a tournament, but if I play like I have, if I play it better than somebody else would play when they have 1,000 health, I'm going to make more money in the long run, et cetera. So that's kind of how I see it. Gotcha. And sometimes you get 50 and you just get screwed.
Yeah, one thing that I've compared it to is like just on the merits of, because some people won't even view Fortnite as like a job, right? Even if you were playing professional Fortnite, which it is. But the way I think about it is like athletes.
Yeah,
we've all since I've been alive at least, have all admired athletes and their drive to get the best they possibly can at the game, right? And some of them get unfair advantages, like LeBron has an unfair body. Yeah, he does. Yeah. He's born.
And some of them get unfair advantages, like injuries.
Yes, like injuries, exactly. Yeah. So like there is a level of luck that goes into sports too, like the way you're built, the way God made you, right? But there's also a lot of reps that go into the competition part of it,
right?
And they get paid big money when they win, and they get nothing when they lose, right?
Yeah.
Like if you never make it to the NBA and you only play in college, and pre-NIL deals, you weren't making any money, right? So there is a cap to that, and some people can't make it to the World Series of Poker, right?
Yeah. And like, it's just about controlling the things that you can control at the end of the day, and I think that's just the most important thing, and that's what I try to do every day.
Yep. Well, I think you answered our next two questions, so I'm going to jump ahead to. I was looking at your Twitter bio, and you did reference Kobe Bryant and the mamba mentality. Like, how do you use that when you're playing?
So, the mamba mentality is there's 5 pillars. There's, I don't know if I could get this off the top of my head. I don't want to do Kobe wrong, but it's be passionate, which is centered around finding your passion. Luckily, I found mine. You guys found yours with real estate.
It's a big blessing.
Yeah,
it is.
And so once you find that, you got to chase your dream, really, is what he preaches. And then the second one, be obsessive, which, in a healthy way. I try to have, I've had more and more balance as I've went through. Like I've rekindled friendships that, you know, I'd let kind of go down the tubes a little bit to like get really good at poker. It was nothing personal. It was just like, I need to get really good, as good as I possibly can to set myself up so that, you know, but, you know, being obsessive, be relentless is another one of the pillars. And that's just, you know, that relentless, undying passion, essentially, that you're just going for it. Be fearless, which is at the table, I'm willing to pull the trigger on any move at any time. Right. I have to go for it. I'm going to go for it when I need to. And then the last one, be resilient, which is just so incredibly important in poker, because you're going to get knocked down. Like if you're playing for 12 hours and you get knocked down in one hand and you stew on it, there's no coming back from that. And you're going to lose a lot of money long term.
Yeah, I guess.
So,
So in real estate, sometimes John and I, you know, we have huge months where, oh my gosh, I got 6 deals under contract this month. That's going to feed the family for a while. And then we'll have other months where, you know, we go 3 months or 2 months, or this is more early in your career, but there'll be dry periods too. Yeah. Right? Like periods where you're not winning, so to speak. And you know, you're looking for that next deal. Right. I would imagine in poker, sometimes it feels the same way, where you're facing huge ups whenever you get like a $64,000 win, right?
Yeah.
And then you're facing huge downs where you're like, man, I just lost $10,000 today or something. I don't know if that's happened to you, but I'm sure it's happened to people you know for sure. So can you kind of talk about how you bounce back mentally? I know we talked about the mamba mentality a second ago. How you bounce back mentally from all of those huge ups and huge downs? Because me and John have had to do that plenty of times.
Oh my gosh, my whole life.
Yeah.
Man, it's so hard sometimes. Like, so I mean, to be fully transparent, like, I had my worst 3 months from November to January, most recently, where I lost like $20,000 over that time. And I literally didn't win a tournament throughout that whole time period. I was getting a couple seconds, thirds, whatever. And, you know, like there's always going to be like self-doubt. Imposter syndrome is really common in poker. Oh, yeah. There's a lot
in real estate, by the way.
Yeah, it's like, am I good enough? Am I this? Am I that? Yep. And at the end of the day, like how I usually get out of it is I'll diary. I'll be like, okay, like was I too impulsive today? Was I this? Was I that? What can I control? I start even grinding harder, and I want it more than, you know, in terms of like training and studying and you know, asking friends like, hey, I did this. Is this something that's like an okay move to do in this situation and stuff like that? And then in February, the first week of February, I made 31,000. So it just
let's go.
You just
doesn't it feel good to like come out? It's like oh my gosh,
and I'm like. Woo,
you're like, woo, I thought everything was over.
And now I'm like, man, I figured it back out. Or
like, Mom, I can actually move out. It's fine. I'm not staying for over 2 years.
Yeah, like I won like 8 tournaments that week, and it's just like, man, like I was winning one every other day before that. It's just like, so you just never know. But I was trying new things out, and so yeah. But in real estate, it's the same. Sometimes you just have a down month, and it feels terrible. Yep. You don't know. Like,
nothing feels worse than not having a deal on the table and then watching your bank account slowly deteriorate as you're like, oh, rent hit. Oh, my car payment hit. Oh, insurance hit.
And fighting with jealousy at the same time.
Right.
Like I fight with that.
Yeah.
Even to this day.
That's with poker too. Like
that's what I mean.
I try to celebrate. Like I am like I think I would consider myself like a champion of like celebrating the wins that like my friends have, and like I really try to like, and it's like, you know, at some point it's gonna be my turn, and you know,
absolutely.
But I really try to like, but dude, it is hard sometimes to be like, sometimes like you see a player, like for me it's like a player that's like not very good, and then they have a really big win, and I'm like,
you're like, how?
I'm like, man,
that should have been mine.
That should be me, like. So yeah.
Well, can we play one hand?
Sure.
Of Texas Hold'em?
Yeah.
You have to shuffle and deal though. But actually, so I want to talk to something else real quick. So
we can do it while we deal too.
It's about counting cards.
Oh, okay.
It's about counting cards. It's actually a skill that I picked up, which is like crazy because I don't play a lot of poker. So when I do it, it's really easy. So 52.
How would you know that?
All right.
I can't.
We're going to play a hand.
This is the last episode of the podcast, guys.
All right.
I bought those last night at Walmart.
Well, that's good. I mean, I could have brought in a deck too.
I know,
but I mean, everybody needs a deck of cards.
Well, I bought 2. I bought that one and a Back to the Future deck for $11 that I did not need, but I was like, yeah, because I love that movie.
All right, here we go.
All right. I don't remember how to play poker, so we're gonna try our best. Hold on.
Well, it's hard without chips.
And if I win, can I go to the World Series of Poker, Jeff?
Oh man, if you beat me for no money,
Yeah.
all right, you got it. You got to look at your hand.
All right. Oh, I'm stacked.
All right. So I mean, traditionally we'd have a betting round pre-flop.
Yeah.
But I mean, betting imaginary money is everybody's probably going to call for imaginary money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Sure. So I don't know.
We're just playing.
Yeah,
for
yeah.
bragging
So
rights.
we're gonna see who wins. Okay.
I want to see.
So
yeah, just tell us who wins.
all right. So there's the flop.
Okay.
Burn. Turn. Okay. So now we would flip our hands over.
Okay.
I have a straight.
Let's see it.
Well, I think that's.
I don't know what I have.
Oh wait, no,
Do
I
I
don't.
have to tell me what I have?
Do I have to count both?
No, yeah. You have a straight. So you have a 9 high straight. I have 2 pair. I lose. You have nothing. You had a flush draw on the turn though. So your hearts, if you hit another heart, you would have.
Oh yeah, I need 5.
You would have crushed the hand.
I win.
But John
Good job,
won.
John.
Yep.
John won.
Don't leave me hanging.
I am undefeated against a World Series of Poker player. And
It said rigged.
I quit. I ran one 5K once. I won, and I never ran anymore. So this is the George Costanza way. You go out on top. So what were some 2 more questions I think we basically have. So I'll let you ask the last one. But I think
I'll do this one. You do that one. Okay.
okay, cool. So what do you think is the biggest misunderstanding about competitive poker scene, the whole scene?
I mean, I think that now. So I think that it's like, man, like. In terms of like professional poker players go, a lot of them are just like nerdy math guys now, essentially.
Like fantasy football players, basically.
Yeah. It's like analytical numbers guys are like the guys who are the best now. And it's like traditionally when you think about it, it's like the gamblers that are willing to go for it. But now that like poker is like hypothetically a solved game, it's, the guys that are willing to run the solutions and that are tending to be the best. So I think that's like the biggest misconception. Now, listen, I still play, what some people call like barbecue dads all the time and stuff. The brute, whatever. But yeah, I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions.
Cool. So obviously you've watched the podcast a little bit. A big thing that we love to talk about at the end here is about your good hustle, right? And the podcast is about kind of finding that good hustle, finding that drive, that determination, the mama mentality type stuff, right? And of course, for me and John, that's real estate, and that's also building our podcast and things like that.
Correct.
So and for you, it's been competitive poker, right? And professional poker. So what do you think is the best advice you can give someone on how to become great like you've become?
I mean, I would say, as Kobe said, you have to find your passion. You have to try out a bunch of different things. To try finding out what you're passionate about, and then you have to chase that dream at the end of the day. I think that it's important, like we said earlier, to be true to yourself in some ways, and at the end of the day, just go for it.
Yeah.
So,
and I think that's great. And I think
Yeah.
with the final question and comment, I think, I think I know the answer, but like you see yourself in 5 years just continuing to grow in this, and this just to be a great thing and avenue for you to just continue this career, correct?
yeah.
Yeah, and that's awesome.
Yeah. I think 5 years. I mean, I kind of hope more commentating, maybe more.
Awesome.
Maybe like I've always thought with like live streaming poker, like it's hard with how small the player pool is in Pennsylvania. But I would love to do it if like it ever gets stale playing by myself. I think it would like really freshen it up to like start streaming. So maybe that's an avenue too.
Yeah,
but
streaming would be cool.
But I mean, right now I'm like so in love with the game and learning new things every day. And like every time I think that I know everything, I learn I know nothing. And that is so humbling.
And that is the best part.
Yeah. Yeah. My coach, Mike Lavin, back in the day, he had showed me a graph that was like, you think that you know everything. And I thought I've hit that point.
I've seen that before.
I think I've hit that point like 25 times. I never learned that like, then you realize you know nothing because all of a sudden the game has and it's like that way in a lot of things.
It is.
So.
In real estate too. Yep.
Yeah. And you can learn, and that's a valuable lesson anybody can learn. So I just want to thank you for coming on The Good Hustle. It was a great episode.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome, man. And we just cannot wait to release this episode. It's going to be awesome. So thank you, everybody, from The Good Hustle. Thank you to all of our fans. Please like and subscribe. And if you do have trouble with gambling and addiction, there's help out there. So make sure you take a look and find it, because
1-800-GAMBLER.
There you go. So thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.